Have you ever thought about what it really means to work hard? Or how energy plays a role in our everyday lives? We often hear terms like work, energy, and power tossed around in casual conversations. But what do they truly mean? Let's dive into the fascinating world of work, energy, and power. In our daily conversations, the words work, energy, and power are used in a wide sense. A person who can work for 14 to 16 hours is often said to have a lot of stamina or energy. For example, we consider a farmer plowing the fields, a construction worker lifting bricks, a student studying, or an artist painting as all forms of work. In physics, however, these terms have precise definitions. While everyday energy relates to capacity to do work, similar to physics, work itself has a specific meaning. Work is a precise quantity related to force and displacement. Energy is the capacity to do work, with specific mathematical definitions. Power, on the other hand, is related to how quickly work is done or energy is transferred. Now, let's explore the scalar product. There are two multiplication methods, scalar product, dot product, which produces a scalar, and vector product, which produces a new vector. The scalar product of vectors a and b is defined as a dot b is equal to ab cos theta, where theta is the angle between them. Geometrically, the product of the magnitude of a and the component of b along a, or vice versa, gives us some interesting insights. We also find some properties here. It's commutative, a dot b is equal to b dot a, and distributive, a dot b plus c is equal to ab plus a dot c. Continuing with the scalar product formation, we see that since a, b, and cos theta are all scalars, their dot product is also a scalar without direction. Geometrically, b cos theta represents the projection of b onto a, and a cos theta is the projection of a onto b. Therefore, a dot b equals the product of a s magnitude and b's component along a, or vice versa. Here are some of the properties for the scalar product. I dot I is equal to j dot j is equal to k dot k equals 1, while I dot j is equal to j dot k is equal to k dot I equals 0. If a is perpendicular to b, then a dot b is equal to 0. A dot a is equal to a square, and a dot b is equal to b dot a. When this is true, then their scalar product is equal to 1. Now, let's talk about the notions of work and kinetic energy through the work-energy theorem. Starting from the equation for rectilinear motion under constant acceleration, v square minus u square is equal to 2as, we can multiply both sides by m by 2. This gives us the definition of work and kinetic energy. Half mv square minus half mu square is equal to mas is equal to fs. We can generalize to three dimensions using vectors. Half mv square minus half mu square is equal to m into ad is equal to f dot d. The left side represents the change in half the mass times the square of the speed, which we call kinetic energy, k. The right side is the product of displacement and force component along that displacement, which we call work, W. Work is defined by the formula W is equal to F cos theta into D, linking it to the force and displacement over which it acts. Work is measured in joules, J, where 1 joule is equal to 1 Newton meter is equal to 1 kilogram meter square by second square. Examples of work include lifting an object against gravity, pushing a cart, or stretching a spring. But what about situations when no work is done? There are a few scenarios: no work done when displacement is zero, like holding a weight steadily. No work is done when force is zero, as in a block on a frictionless table. No work is done when force and displacement are perpendicular, such as gravity on a horizontally moving object. When we look at positive and positive work occurs if theta is between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. Conversely, if theta is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees, work is negative. Friction typically opposes displacement. Theta is equal to 180 degrees, making its work negative. Let's explore kinetic energy. If an object of mass m has velocity v, its kinetic energy k is equal to half mv square is equal to half m v dot v. Kinetic energy is the energy possessed by an object by the virtue of its motion. The kinetic energy of moving objects varies dramatically with their mass and velocity. When we think about work done by variable forces, constant forces are rare in nature, variable forces are more common. To calculate work done, we break displacement into small segments with approximately constant forces. Work can be expressed as a definite integral of force over displacement. W is equal to integral of f x dx from xi to xf. This is the visual and graphical method to understand it. Here are the steps. Divide path. Break displacement into small segments delta x. Sum contributions. Add work done over each segment. Summation of f x delta x. Take the limit. As delta x approached 0, sum becomes integral. Integral of f x dx. Work energy theorem for variable forces. We can prove the work energy theorem for a variable force by examining the time rate of change of kinetic energy. Starting with dk by dt is equal to d, half mv square by dt is equal to mv into dv by dt is equal to mv into fb by m is equal to f into dx by dt is equal to f dx. We can integrate both sides from initial position xi to final position xf. This gives us integral dk is equal to integral f x dx, which simplifies to kf k is equal to integral f x dx is equal to w. Thus, the work energy theorem is proven. The change in kinetic energy equals the work done by the net force, even for variable forces. Here are the steps we follow. Start with rate of change. dk by dt is equal to d half mv square by dt is equal to mv dv by dt. Apply Newton's second law. dk by dt is equal to mv f by m is equal to f dx by dt. Rearrange and integrate. dk is equal to f into dx, so integral of dk is equal to integral of fx into dx. Final result. Kf minus k is equal to W. So what are the limitations of work energy theorem? While the work energy theorem is valuable for many problems, it doesn't incorporate the complete dynamical information contained in Newton's second law. It represents an integral form of Newton's second law, aggregating information over an interval of time rather than providing instantaneous relationships. We can see the various parallels between them through this table. We hope that you have understood the topic. You can now study chapter notes, watch video lectures and solve MCQ tests of this chapter on EduRev to ensure you score well in your exams. And that's not all. You also get amazing courses for maths, science, English, Hindi, and much more for NEET. Thank you.